Welcome to Two Dicks and a Mic, news and political commentary while we watch the world burn. Some have said this is the best podcast on the internet. Three brothers who share no DNA talk about news and politics. What could go wrong? Tonight on the show, a gorilla statue on a playground in Texas is deemed by a vocal few to be racist, so it's removed from the park, only to be returned after a memorial, candlelight vigil, and complaints. This, as well as other statues and monuments not fit for public consumption in this episode of Two Dicks and a Mic. My name is Dick, and with me as always are Mike and Dick. Hello, fellas.
Hello, Mike, Dick, Dick, Mike,
gentlemen.
Mick.
The Mick Dyke.
Mick Dyke.
Yeah, so we spent a couple of weeks talking about guns, and the gun conversation is still going on. Of course, I actually think it's good that people are still talking about, what to do about shootings and what goes on in schools. I still don't think that guns are the biggest part of the conversation that needs to be had there, and I don't think any of us do. I think there's a lot bigger things than just the guns. And I think all three of us are in agreement about that. But we decided to move on because there was a statue on a playground in what's the name of this town? Corsicana.
Yeah.
Coruscant.
Corsicana. It could be Coruscant, Texas.
Yeah. It's a fairly small town. So there's the statue on the playground, and when they first erected the statue, they realized this gorilla statue was top-heavy and therefore potentially dangerous for the children. So they put the gorilla in a cage, and the kids could climb on the cage, and the gorilla, for 19 years, has been a major part of this park. But of course, being the times as they are, a couple of people complained saying that the gorilla in a cage was a metaphor for slavery, and so the city decided to take it out of the park. And then I'm looking at a picture right now of candles and flowers and beer bottles and stuffed animals and a sign that says "Bring back our ape." On the cage.
So it's Harambe or what?
Yeah, it's something along those lines. It's the next Harambe, I guess, but it's a statue of Harambe. So I guess it's not really dicks out for Harambe this time around. It's pricks, I don't know. But so eventually, though, the city has decided, after people said it's stupid for you to take this statue out because it's not a symbol of racism. It's a gorilla in a cage, and kids can climb on the cage. So they were going to leave the cage there and just let the kids climb on the cage with nothing inside it. So I don't know if it's like trying to get into the cage death match or something, but they decided.
I swear to God, our country sucks.
There's a lot that does suck, yeah. So, but the city did decide that they were going to put the gorilla back in the cage. No, wait. I think they were going to try. I've seen two reports. One was that they were going to put him back in the cage when weather permitted, and another was that they were going to try and make his arms more rigid so that there's less possibility of him breaking, and affix him to the ground more sturdily so that he won't fall over when kids climb on him.
And then remove the cage?
And remove the cage. One or the other is going to happen. I'm not sure which, because I have read both of those accounts in two different news articles.
What's going to happen for sure? People's tax dollars are going to be fucking wasted.
What's the big deal about the cage?
The complaint is that a gorilla in a cage is a metaphor for not racism, for slavery, and therefore it's a racist installment.
So are these same people that are complaining going to release all monkeys from zoos across the United States?
I'm not sure if live monkeys in cages are also a metaphor for slavery. I guess
just stationary, just inanimate,
just fake ones. Yes, yeah. I'm sure there were. Well, did you guys see a couple of months ago? Speaking of apes and monkeys and putting racism where it doesn't belong, there was oh geez, I can't think of the name of the clothing line or the store or whatever it was, F&M or FHM, I don't know. But
S&M?
No, not S&M. That's a really fucked up store.
Store?
It should be.
But there was this kid, little kid model, and he was wearing a hoodie and modeling this hoodie for the store in their advertisement, and it said "coolest monkey in the jungle."
Right. I remember this. That's not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, the kid's mom didn't find any problem with it, and the kid got paid.
Doesn't anybody sitting at these damn meetings go, hey, this is not a good idea?
Maybe saying this is not a good idea is part of the problem, though.
Why?
Well, maybe applying racism where racism doesn't exist is the problem. You know, if of course there was a time where black people were compared to monkeys, and that was awful. But we've gotten past that.
That was also in the 20th century, 19th century.
We've gotten past that.
You make it sound like racism is dead.
No. Racism is not dead, but comparing black people to monkeys is 99.9% gone. Right?
I think it depends on where you are and who you're talking to.
Okay, well, maybe so. Racism definitely still exists, but I think in a situation like that where the mother was aware, the mother was on the shoot, the little kid, the mom, apparently there was no ill will involved in that whatsoever. But people found racism in it, and so it caused a kerfuffle.
So a small group of people pitched a fit, whatever, and something had to be done about it, just like the monkey statue in Texas. How many people did it take to bitch about this thing before they had to remove it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how many people it was. The article... Wait. Someone reading a number somewhere?
What?
I didn't know if someone had an idea of how many people had complained and caused this to happen.
No, but it always seems like it's a small minority of people who bitch about something, and then something has to be done about it.
Well,
removing these statues and
it almost always is, yeah. A small group of people.
No. A small group of people is not. There's a statue. God, what is it? In Chicago, I think. There's a couple statues in Chicago that people are demanding get taken down. One of them is President McKinley. The other one is George Washington. Yeah. They're also complaining about President Jackson because Washington was a slave owner and Jackson was a slave owner. You want to know the people that are making a stink? 200 people. 200 people. And everybody has their panties lit on fire.
Yeah, well, as long as someone gives a voice to those 200 people, then there will be thousands of other people across the country who will also be enraged, and therefore it's an issue worthy of tackling and removing the statue. It's like all this.
Is it though? Is it really worthy of it?
No, but deemed worthy. I don't mean worthy. I think it's kind of bullshit. You know, there are some monuments that don't really have a place in the public square that are better suited for a museum. But
like who?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Let me think. Joe Paterno. There's a statue of Joe Paterno being removed. Maybe that statue belongs. Yeah, the Bill Cosby statue removed from Disney Hollywood Studios. I mean, those statues don't really have a place out in the public square, but. Why
doesn't Joe Paterno's statue deserve to be out there?
Their history.
Wasn't Joe Paterno a kid diddler? Isn't that what he got in trouble for?
No. Joe Paterno was a head coach at Penn State University who had been there, Christmas, 40 years, 50 years at Penn State.
Then why was his statue removed?
Because evidently he had an assistant who was a kid diddler.
Oh, his assistant was a diddler.
His assistant was a diddler. And he had turned it over to the president. He turned it over to the athletic director. And he turned it over to the, I don't know what you call it, college police, university police. Mm-hmm. And did everything that was asked of him to do. And now somehow people were running around wanting their pound of flesh. I'm hoping that Americans, when there's another world war, the United States is fucked, because we got a lot of young people out there that have their butt hurt. And I'm talking people under 35.
That's technically the cutoff for generation bullshit. Whatever those pussies are.
The millennials?
I mean, they want to remove statues. They want to remove statues of George Washington. They want to remove statues of Andrew Jackson. Why don't they remove statues of Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln never believed that black people were equal to whites.
No, he didn't. But he was the one who gets all the recognition for freeing the slaves.
Oh, so history is offensive to you unless it's convenient for you. Oh, I understand.
Well, history is offensive unless it's convenient, just like facts are offensive unless they're convenient. You do understand that that's exactly the way things work now, right?
I understand that it's bullshit. I understand that people
fucking shame.
I understand that people can have a phone in their hand and see something on TV in San Diego and make a comment on it, and now everybody's pissed off. You live in Greenwich Village. What the hell are you doing commenting on shit taking place in San Diego?
I agree. I will not disagree with you one little bit about that. I think that we you know how America meddles in the world's affairs? Well, we've got that like on a much smaller level now, that over the last 15, 20 years, when we've got the internet and we can see every little corner of the country, and we've got a 24-hour news cycle, and we can see every little thing that goes on all the time. So for that reason, we get situations where this small town, you've got 5 people that would be upset about it, but one of those 5 people goes and puts something on social media, and somebody who has a large following sees it, and they get their panties in a twist, so they share it, and then before you know it, it's snowballed, and you've got thousands of people who are upset over this something that 3 people in a town of 400 were upset about.
For the love of God.
And then you have the other people in the town have to bow to the 3 people because they've got the thousands of people backing them now. So something that is completely inconsequential, but somebody got their panties in a twist over, has now changed the entire landscape of the town because Me Too, or because I'm just using that one as one, because everybody gets behind it. I agree with that. That's terrible. Go fuck yourself in your little bitty town because you're on the wrong side of history. That's another popular phrase. You'll hear that one a lot. You're on the wrong side of history.
How dare something in this world offend you?
God, are we pussies?
Fucking
Listen,
right.
I mean, my God. And here's my other problem. And this is about the statues. This is about removing stuff. Why are people, and maybe I'm getting old, why are people bitching about shit that took place 100 years ago? The entire Me Too movement, women out there in podcast land, make sure you're paying attention. How the hell can you hold somebody accountable for something that they did 25 years ago when everybody else was doing it? Everybody else was doing it. It was the Wild Wild
reparations.
I don't need no fucking reparations. I got a college degree. I worked my ass off. People can bite me. I don't need no fucking reparations. I want black people to stop bitching about shit that happened 100 years ago and start moving forward. Stop looking at white people and blaming, oh, you put crack here. Yeah, well, you smoked it. So quit being an asshole and do stuff like you're supposed to.
And on the same hand with these fucking statues, you don't like it? Don't go to that fucking park.
And there might be, hey, Jefferson Davis, he's a president of the Confederacy. Okay, you could argue that with me. Fine. But Robert E. Lee was a good guy. George Washington was a slave owner. Guess what? So was a shitload of other Americans. Mm-hmm. I mean, are we going to go now to Mount Rushmore? Let's have a no slavery movement, hashtag no slavery, or hashtag no monuments at Mount Rushmore, and everybody bring a chisel, and we're going to bring down Teddy Roosevelt, because I saw people protesting Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and let's take down Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. He only freed some of them. And if he had the opportunity to leave all the slaves in place and not go to war, he would have done that. But nobody bitches about that.
Of course not, because if there's one thing that's positive for some small oppressed group or some large oppressed group, then everything else kind of gets glossed over. Take Planned Parenthood, for instance. Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood, she was hugely racist. There are countless documented statements from her where she said that part of the reason for founding Planned Parenthood and for promoting abortion was to depopulate the Negroes.
Yes, I've read that.
But nobody talks about that, and people are just in love with Margaret Sanger. And as a matter of fact, one of these statues that was supposedly, or that is being called to be removed, Planned Parenthood is screaming for it to be removed because it's a statue of Dr. J. Marion Sims, the father of modern gynecology. Well, J. Marion Sims performed some procedures, some tests. He tried some stuff out on some black women. And I guess supposedly he didn't use anesthesia, or the procedures were botched, or for whatever reason, he was deemed a racist monster for the way that he did this one little section of what he did. Never mind the huge advances in science that he apparently made. It's like Leonardo da Vinci. He studied the human body to make his art, and he was a great inventor. He was a great artist, a sculptor. He did a lot of great things, but people kind of gloss over the fact that he stole dead bodies to carve up to find out how the body worked.
Oh man, well, that's disgusting. But I am tired of my tribe, really tired of my tribe, spending their entire time looking backwards and then bitching that they can't move forwards.
That's okay. I'm not in a position to opine on that.
But you thought that was deep?
No. Well, yeah, it was kind of deep. I just meant that as a heterosexual white male, I don't belong to any oppressed group, so I'm not allowed to say what I think about stuff like that. I was making kind of a joke.
I'm in your tribe.
Mike's in my tribe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about my tribe.
No.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, we're talking about the oppression Olympics. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree
great.
with you. I agree with
I was
you.
gonna be like, you're not playing blackface again. Remember that Halloween?
I agree with everything you said, but I can't sit here and go, yeah, fuck yeah, you're absolutely right.
Remember that Halloween you dressed in blackface? I had to take you around. I was so pissed.
If only we had pictures.
I remember one Halloween.
That's back in the day where we could do that and not, have a Twitter explosion.
Yeah. My one Halloween, my wife and our son dressed as Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear, and if we took the ears,
see that.
If we took the ears off, it did look kind of like blackface.
I pointed it out to my wife, and I'm like, I hope to God they go around in a white neighborhood. Otherwise, I'm going to be minus one nephew, one sister, and one brother-in-law.
Oh, you're a bear.
Yeah, it was.
I'm a black bear, motherfucker.
Motherfucker, I'll cut you. Give us a goddamn candy now.
So, I don't understand. I don't understand what the intent is by any of these groups. I don't care if they're black groups, white groups, male groups, female groups. I don't care. What is hoping to be accomplished by removing statues? I mean, what's hoping to be accomplished by removing statues?
The idea is that people having to go near these statues every day reminds them of being oppressed, which they never were. But
yeah, how the fuck were you oppressed? You were born in 1983. How the fuck were you oppressed?
the point is, supposedly removing these statues will help wounds heal, wounds that never existed because these people, even their grandparents, were never. The grandparents faced much harsher racism. True. But the generals, the statues of people who owned slaves, nobody in this lifetime knows anyone who owned any slaves. A very small percentage of people even did own slaves. But it's like your great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents who were even around. It's forever ago. But, you know, people feel like they will be able to get through life better if there are fewer things to offend them or hurt their feelings.
But here's my point, though. Dr. King could give two shits about the fucking Jefferson Davis statue in the middle of downtown Mississippi.
Right.
It could give a shit. Medgar Evers could give a damn. They were fighting, protesting, and ultimately dying for real issues, real change. Just because you have some concrete guy shaped like a dick sitting outside the township hall, that is not what's important to focus on. And I don't understand why this younger generation is trying to take on this pseudo-neo civil rights movement by removing fucking statues. Because are you putting more young black people in college? Are you putting more young black people? Are you reading to more young black people? Or are you just walking around saying, hey, that statue shouldn't be there, take it down because it's offensive to me?
Yeah, the latter. That's what's going on. The goalposts have shifted as far as what civil rights should be, it seems. Dr. King fought for and marched for actual legal civil rights, for black people to have the same rights as white people. And now black people have the same rights as white people, and it's just not working out the way they had hoped, I suppose. I think part of what's going on is too many people are relying on someone else to do something for them. Meaning, for example, or blaming someone else for their shortcomings, I guess is what I mean. Like the children of single mothers are more likely to be involved in crime, more likely to be the school shooter, more likely to all of these negative things, not to finish school, to be abusive when they grow up. And
well, that's a social problem.
That is
we
a social
should take
problem.
down all statues of single mothers.
Doesn't have a
no, exactly.
Because some of those are pretty hot.
Yeah, but it is a social problem. And that is what needs to be fixed. We have legal racial equality now. And now what we don't have is social racial equality or cultural racial equality. And those are the things that are holding the black community down, the Hispanic community down, holding the white community down as compared to the Asian community. I mean, the Asians are at the top of all the lists. They make the most money. They do the best in school. They're the most disciplined.
You want to know why? Because they don't walk around bitching that the federal government in California put them into concentration camps in the 40s. You know what they do? They go to school and they get good jobs and they become educated and they do the things necessary. Were they slaves in the United States? Absolutely not. But there were some severely restrictive laws and legislation passed trying to prevent them from becoming equal citizens. And somehow they've managed.
Yeah,
Mexicans are, I mean, literally sprinting, swimming, and crawling into this country for a better life. And by 2025, they're supposed to be the largest minority in the United States, and they're very economically self-sufficient. So what the fuck is going on with my tribe? Quit your bitching, send your kids to school, and advance.
Wow. But here's something else though. It's not just your tribe who is. it's so strange to say that, but it's not just your tribe that is making all this stink, who is causing all these complaints. It's not your tribe who is screaming for people to take down statues. It's not your tribe who are Antifa. You know, it's not. It's so many white people who think that they are at fault, and maybe having so many white people who think that they're at fault helps to promote the narrative that there is fault to be had.
But why don't we stop worrying about who's at fault and just worrying about fixing it? Why don't we try that for, I don't know, a decade or so?
Oh, that'd be pretty super, wouldn't it?
I mean,
but if
shit, I don't.
If you don't have anyone else to blame your shortcomings on, then you have to own up to it yourself, and people don't want to do that. I think that's pretty simple.
I mean, I'll fully acknowledge that there's racism in the United States. I'm not at all gonna doubt that, and I'd fully will acknowledge that there's disadvantages for African Americans in this country, particularly as it applies to judicial sentencing. But goddamn, there's so many other things that we can be successful and accomplish at, and shit. Stop worrying about the stupid shit and focus on what's important.
Yeah, and also, if judicial sentencing is one of the things where black people are disadvantaged, how about if you just don't have to go in front of a judge? It'd be a good place to start, right?
Well, that's where I would start, but evidently not everybody has that philosophy because, folks got to make money and whatever else the rap songs say. It's just, what is it? Bitches and something about bitches and hoes and something else.
Well, I think pretty much everything's about bitches and hoes.
Oh, okay.
Or big booty hoes. Mike, you've been quiet for a while. What's up?
They can get wet. He's thinking about big booty hoes.
I am now.
I agree, though. It's the problem is no longer legal, with the exception of, as you said, blacks getting harsher sentences for the most part, and that I don't understand how or why that works that way. But
that's a completely separate show.
That is a separate show, and I would like to get into that. Maybe we'll do that in the next couple of weeks, because I'd like to. I mean, you being a history buff, I'm sure you've got lots of studying on the subject under your belt already. Also, being black, you probably you haven't been to jail, but
holy shit, Dick, you're black?
You have.
Yeah, I don't have my video thing on, so you can't see me. That's not your fault. That's mine. That's a technical issue.
You have been pulled over for driving while black, though.
I've gotten several driving while blacks. I got a driving while black the other day.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Officer pulled me over. Said, "Do you know how black you were going?" I said, "I don't know. Michael Jackson." They said Samuel L. Jackson. It's like, holy shit, that black.
I said, "Motherfucker."
They let me off with a warning.
It said, "Lighten up."
Yeah. That is not good.
Yeah, so it's social. It's tribal. That's the problem. So
I don't think you're supposed to say tribal and have the same reference to me, I think that's racist. That's back to the gorilla thing.
That's not the gorilla thing.
This issue and the gun issue are both social, and the generation coming up is a bunch of fucking pussies. What can we do about it?
Yeah, so both of these issues are, I think we all agree, clearly we agree, that both of these issues are social. Our last 3 weeks of conversation revolve around social issues that the people who refuse to agree that they're social issues want to make them legal issues. So I think that we're kind of screwed.
Well, I think if that group of people were to realize that the world is not fair, I think that they're going to go a lot longer in terms of their happiness.
Well, do you think the issue lies with, at least partially, with participation trophies? I mean, not the trophies themselves, but the participation trophy culture.
No, here's what I think. I think, fuck it, we're done. Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed our banner. We would love to chat with you. If you have anything to add, be sure to check us out on Twitter or GAB at 2DicksAndAMic, or leave a comment below. You can also send us an email at 2DicksAndAMic. That's 2DicksAndAMic at gmail.com. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.